Well, good evening, everyone. It is Prepper Chicks After Dark here on May 27th, 2014, our very last show of May, and we will be on to June here shortly. It is one awesome day here in Indianapolis. We had lovely weather, almost 90 degrees out today, so great fun. But we are here to play some Conflicted, this survival card game, with a very special guest back with us tonight. So what we're going to do is get rolling here, and I'm not even sure who the hell I picked up on the call. So we will find out. But what is Conflicted? It's a deck of 50 cards that you can use as a tool with your prepper group. It's a series of cards with what if questions on them that will open up communication and lots and lots of conversation. You can get those, and we'll post the links here in a moment to get the specific deck that we're going to be playing with tonight. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But back with us, Alika, did you make it on the call?
I did.
Awesome. I thought we lost you there for a minute.
Thanks for having me back, Lori. As always, I am with www.shtfready.com. We are a prepping survivalist website. We help each other learn and prepare and share ideas, keep the politics out, and we just focus on the prepping. Beginners and experts are welcome. We've all heard of the ant and the grasshopper story. We teach you to be the ant.
Awesome. Our favorite geek is back tonight, Geek Prepper.
Hey, geekprepper.org. Trying to give you the edge when shit hits the fan. So, anybody from noobs all the way up to, ex-military survival pros, we'd love to have you. Come check us out.
Awesome. And the one and only creator of the game itself, JD.
Hey, Laurie. How's everybody doing? Thanks for having me back.
Hey, I'm 3 for 4. We're having a good night. One of these times, we're going to turn this into a drinking game. We're going to have a special word every night and take shots. That should make it fun.
I'm halfway already.
I missed my nap, so it could be interesting. So our special guest tonight has a lot going on. Not only did he just celebrate his birthday, so everybody in the chat room, thank you for being here, but let's welcome G. Michael and wish him a belated birthday. But he had part 3 of the New World Series post-apocalyptic book come out today. And not only that, his awesome Conflicted deck that plays along with his books came out today. So, G. Michael Hop, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Lori. It's been a long time since we've talked.
I know, right? Like, what?
I know.
12 hours? 13
yeah,
hours?
exactly.
15
well,
hours
thanks for having me back on.
So, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody find your deck or your books or?
Oh, yeah. So my name is G. Michael Hopf. I'm the best-selling author of The End and the Long Road, which are books 1 and 2 in the New World series. Book number 3, Sanctuary, is on its way to becoming a bestseller here shortly. There will eventually be 7 books in the series. They can find the books at any online retailer as well as any brick-and-mortar store, Barnes & Noble, Hastings, Books A Million, online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc., airport bookstores, whatnot. They can also find the books on my website at www.gmichaelhopf.com.
Awesome. I actually have the deck in my hands, and I will say that it is one sweet little pile of cards, for sure. So let's get started, and let's play some cards. What do you say, guys?
So I don't have any questions tonight.
What's that?
I'm driving, so I don't have any scenarios on me tonight. You guys are going to have to come up with all of them.
Okay, well, be safe, okay, and no drinking.
No, I'm good.
Okay, we'll take care of that for you. So, the rest of you guys, who's brave enough to play a card first?
I'll actually go first. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. So let's just jump right into this with a kind of a topic we kind of just dabbled on this morning. And it goes like this. Sebastian Van Zandt was placed in a difficult situation when he had to choose between his duty as a Marine and his family. To choose one would be to betray the other. He just couldn't be in two places at the same time. If you were serving your country and the moment came when you had to make this same decision, who would you put first? And I'll send that over to Geek.
That's easy for me. Family first. I mean, I love my country, but I love my family a whole lot more. I mean, if I was called to give a sacrifice of my own life, that's one thing, but I will never choose anything over my family.
Good. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. So does that mean if you were serving somewhere in a capacity that you would just abandon your post and go back to your family?
I sure would. Very, very common practice during the Civil War, man. Harvest time came around and like, oh, I'm going home. Sorry, got things to do. Yeah, I'd bail. No questions asked. I would take what I needed. I'd borrow me a helicopter or a truck and go on home.
Are we related?
We might be.
G. Michael, what would you do?
Based on if it's a situation like I have in the books, I would go protect my family, because I look at it this way, that like when I joined the service, I had two reasons why I did it. One is, being patriotic. The second, was I wanted to have my own personal experiences. And that service offers that to people. You can go out and break things and kill people and it's legal. But in this scenario where I'm deployed and my family's now legitimately threatened and the infrastructure's collapsed at home, I would come back and protect them, especially if there's no one else here to protect them. I would come back, because what is country? What is it defined as? Country to me is not government. Country is my family. Country are my people.
Well, Mom was going to elect me president of our new country this morning. So, if you had a choice of staying in the military or coming back and living in Lori Land, which one would you choose?
What's that again?
That's what I was wondering.
Silence. On the show this morning, Mom elected me president of our new country. So, if you had a choice of staying in the military or coming back to live in Lori Land, because that's what I'm going to name it, which one would you choose?
Well, there might be a third option. First, I'd have to take you out, then I'd go home.
In your dreams.
First, I'd stage a coup d'etat, and then I'd go back to my family.
You wouldn't take over? JD, what would you do?
Well, obviously family comes first, but if I did not have a family, like wife and kids, I'll probably go and fight for my country. And when I say my country, I don't necessarily mean my government, but I think it's something people do to make the place where they live a better place. And if it takes, you risking your life to do it, you got to do it. But your main priority is your family. So, like everybody else, family first. But if it came down to it, if I had no family, I have no problem putting my life on the line for the country.
So it depends on if you're married or single, huh?
Yeah, as of right now, I'll take care of my family. Because if everybody took care of their own family, I mean, how different would life be right now? I wouldn't have to pay Social Security to anybody. I could keep my own money. And so I think by taking care of my family, I'm not imposing their care on anybody else. So, and I'm the best guy to take care of them anyway. So yeah, my family.
Okay, so we've got three families going on here. Alika, what do you think? And you can skip this question if you want.
Well, because this show is known to be listened to by the White House, and my current occupation, I'm going to have to respectfully decline to answer this question.
Well, I didn't know that, or I would have declined too. Jeez.
We know where to get our helicopters from anyway.
Got a whole lineup of them out back. Come on down.
Well, the NSA is listening, and at the end of the day, they would all go to their families too.
Probably. So, you've seen that happen in...
But well, before I throw this curveball that I have in my head, I want to hear from you, Laurie. What would you do?
Oh, hands down, I'd stay with my family. I'd create my own little world going on. I have an issue. I 100% back our troops. Don't get me wrong. I have a problem, though, paying lives for other people's wealth and benefits. Huge problem with that. So I would create my own little utopia and recruit you guys to come and take this country back.
Okay, I got another twist on it then. You know, because I'm looking at this based on the scenario that I painted in the book, where essentially everything's collapsed and there's no law enforcement, there's no National Guard or military on the home front that can be a defense. What happens if there's an invading army?
So
I would still get the hell out.
Oh,
They've been invading army.
Somebody
That's
why Japan didn't invade, right? There was a firearm behind every blade of grass. We're all armed. We're Americans. Come on down.
That may be back in, the 50s? When did the guy say that? But come to California, you're going to see the kind of people we have here.
Well, that's just it.
They can have it.
If we had an invading army, if they tried to come up through Texas, they'd probably have a problem. So California, they can keep that.
Yep.
You know, they hit New York, Massachusetts. Hey, I'm good with that too.
Yeah, but
California.
Go ahead.
This is what.
G. Michael.
No, like.
G. Michael.
Go ahead.
I'm just waiting on JD. You know, I don't take it lightly. I just look at it that if my family could be put into like a space where they were protected, there would need to be a standing army to fight an invading army. So I would go to battle against an invading army if I knew my family was secure. It comes down to making sure that there's the manpower and the resources to make sure that they're taken care of. That's the only reason that someone in the military is willing to be forwardly deployed, because they trust that their families are taken care of at home on the home front.
Well, how much?
If the home front's under threat, if their actual home front is under threat and there's nobody there to take care of them, that's where I become conflicted. Yeah, if they're secure, say up in Idaho, and there's a massive army flooding across the southern border, and we need to match them and meet them, or they will take over. Yeah, I would go and face them.
Well, I have a trust issue. Not that you can tell that or anything like that. But how much would it take you, G. Michael, to feel like your family is protected enough in order for you to lead the fight for the country?
Well, yeah, the thing is, if we still have, I mean, the thing is, now if this is if we have everything that works for the most part, and we can still have militias at home that can protect them, things along that line, you know, and our area is not, I mean, I don't see, I'm trying to, I just can't just, because here's the thing, if everyone just abandons, then we will be conquered. I know you're thinking about there's a rifle and pistol behind every door, but you're not going to defeat a standing army one by one. You'll get crushed.
Yeah.
I don't care that every person behind a door's got a gun. If you got an army with a tank, they're going to blow you the hell out of there. One by one, you'll fall. Only together you would stand against an invading army. So I take it to a certain level, and eventually we'd have to pull our resources together, or we will collapse.
Yeah, but in order for us to defeat an invading army, like you said, with tanks and stuff, we would have to have access to that. Do you think the government's going to allow us to have
Well, of course we'll have access to some tanks. Absolutely we will. I mean, it's not as if our military has gone away.
So there would be troops fighting.
Of course.
And if your group had single males that refused to go, would you go anyways? Or would it become a draft issue in your group?
Well, I think single males should be compelled to go.
Well, one would think. But in our society today, that's questionable.
Well, but it's also, we're not faced with that kind of a scenario either. When's the last time we've actually been invaded? I mean, truly, where there's actually a threat. The last massive war on the home front was the American Civil War.
I don't know. I don't think as many young males, single males, would go as most people would think. I think Canada would become overcrowded.
Yeah, but eventually Canada would fall too. If we fell, you only think Canada's part of the domino effect?
Well, yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Anybody have anything different to add?
I've got no hope for the younger generation because every time I go out on a field exercise, I want to neuter myself with a dull butter knife.
You what?
I have no hope for the younger generation because every time we go out to a field exercise and I hear them complaining about not being able to get cell phone reception so they could update their Facebook status, I want to neuter myself with a dull butter knife because the sheer absurdness of that comment and of the younger generation and not thinking the way you're supposed to think. It's just I'm really fearful when I hit retirement age.
It's probably only going to get worse. You know, only going to get worse.
I agree.
Well, let's move on to the next question. So that way we don't have to poke anybody.
Well, I have a curveball. Hang on, Lori. I want to know up to what extent would you go if you were being kept by, let's say, if you served in the military and you wanted to go take care of your family, but you were denied. How far would you go to get to your family?
If I were already in the military and shit hit the fan, how far would you go in order to get home? Yeah,
because it's very easy to say, I'll abandon everything and sneak out. But what if it wasn't that easy? Would you push until you got there, or would you just put it all in the hands of our Father in heaven and let it be?
Okay. Well, Geek, how far would you take it? It depends on where you're stationed at, though, too.
Yeah, I already said I'd steal a helicopter, right? I mean,
do you know how to fly one?
I will do whatever I can. I mean, I'm one of those people who laws only apply when the police are around. I mean, I'm not a criminal, but I tend to drive a little fast, and I tend to not stop all the way sometimes at stoplights. I mean, you're
a freaking heathen.
We're a very base creature. I mean, if my family is number one, if I have to get home, nothing is going to stop me. I mean, I'm not going to kill people immediately, but I mean, there could come a time. If I think my family is in danger, I get that crazy side-eyed dog look when an animal's cornered, and I know you've seen it. And it's instinct at that point. I mean, I will do what it takes. I hate to say it, but I'm being straight.
G. Michael, how far would you take it?
Obviously, it depends on the situation, but I would, if I knew the situation at home was dire, I would do anything to get back. Up to including removing other individuals, expiring them.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys this. You might as well just get it out of the room. So what would be easier for you? To off someone or to allow them the pleasure of your body?
22 minutes in, and we're already talking about this.
Wait. You know I'm always ready for this. Will I have pleasure in this whole thing too? No?
I'm not sure. No one's messed up as you are. You might.
I mean, is it a super sexy woman?
No. It's a big, hairy guy.
So he's not even an attractive man.
And
I mean, I'm
smells.
not gay, but I'd prefer an attractive man if I'm going to be man raped.
And he smells.
No, I got no problem killing that situation. I mean, if I was capable of doing it, he might be a really strong man.
So you would choose that over just 5 minutes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my body, and at my age, that's. You get older and you sit a lot for a living, there's some pretty tender areas of your body. You don't want people messing with that.
Well, G. Michael brought up anything, so that's why I'm just curious. So, G. Michael, you would go the route of offing someone first?
I'm trying to understand your question.
Would you have sex with somebody or would you kill them? If you had an option of doing one or the other to get what you wanted.
I like I said, I'd expire them.
Okay.
Oh, wait, you didn't say that. I thought he was going to rape
me.
No,
too late.
I would totally use my wiles.
Back to your corner. Sorry.
All right.
Already gone. So here's the next question. Once the local community started to break down due to the collapse, leaders of all kinds started to step up to the plate. Mindy, the head of your local homeowners association, had no experience dealing with this new reality. Yet she thought her leadership status in the community gave her the right to make all the decisions. Gordon, or you, quickly realized that Mindy was the wrong person for the job. She has to be removed. If you were Gordon, how would you go about replacing a bad leader? So you live in a little community, you have a homeowners association with a woman who thinks that she has all the right answers for everything. And she thinks it gives her the right to make all the decisions. And you realize she needs to go away. So how are you going to remove her? JD?
Well, the way to remove a leader, there's two ways. You can vote them out or you can force them out. But in a situation like that, forcing them out, it will probably mean to help them pass on into the afterlife. Because the moment you cause such an injury to somebody, you completely remove them in a place with no law, no consequences. They are too big of a threat to just leave them around, plotting revenge against you. So I would try the easy way first. But if not, they'll have to go. I'll have to be taken out.
Okay. Alika?
I think I would do what Gordon did and just kind of try and work with her. And if it didn't work, then, put her in her place and take control of it later on. But, I mean, what would work too is the art of BSing would, I guess, be in play there. Make them think that your ideas are their ideas, and if they come up with the idea, I think they would be more apt to run with it. That's what I would do.
So inflame her ego and use the art of manipulation.
Yeah, that would be the only safe, bloodless way to do it.
Well, you know how hard-headed women are.
Yeah, don't remind me about that one.
G. Michael, what are your thoughts on it?
I kind of like what Alika was saying, and I kind of go along with that. I think I would try to work with her because I would try to be more diplomatic starting out for the reason that she naturally has her own constituency anyway. And by just going immediately to forcibly have her removed would instantly escalate the situation to a fight between who's backing you and who's backing her, and there could be another third party or fourth party as well. Once you take it to that level, that I think forcibly removing her would have, or specifically, taking her out would instantly escalate it to more than just possibly taking her out. You can end up having a little battle between everybody. So I would try to avoid that, because there's not always necessarily, it's not always, when there's a fight, you're not always necessarily going to win. So you can't go in there always thinking that's why I think it should be the last case scenario. But then before I would actually take her out, I would actually try to have some kind of I would arrest her or something along that line. I wouldn't just take her out.
Duct tape her and put her in the basement?
I would for a while, but if obviously push came to shove and she needed to absolutely go because for something, then but still it's the last resort.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just summarily execute her.
So your main goal would be to try to keep the housing development as united as possible.
Absolutely, because I think that's key. You want unity. If you don't, then you end up having anyone at their throats, and then the whole thing's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
Put her in the well.
Put her in the well. Geek, what do you think?
I guess it depends on her following. I mean, if she's just like an HOA leader, most of my neighbors probably hate her already. But I mean, if she's got a following and like muscle behind her, I would try to manipulate her. If that didn't work, I'd frame her for something and arrest her. And then obviously I would, if that didn't work, total coup, I would, arm the neighborhood and we would just make it ours. So, let the chaff fall where it may at that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd oust her right away. But I think, in a situation like that, it wouldn't be nothing for somebody to just disappear. I'm reading through the chat room. Hi to everybody in the chat room.
And here's the thing, guys. If you are the only person who thinks that's the wrong leader, aren't you in the wrong community to begin with? Because if everybody is backing that person, you're the only one who is not, because of your own reason.
Yeah, but how many people actually know everybody in their housing development? I know my immediate neighbors, and that's it.
No, I know, but if everybody's following the leader that everybody is happy with, even though the leader obviously is unfit, but everybody is happy, and you're the only one who sees the need for a change, maybe you're the one who needs to go, and you need to just leave, because it's just not the community for you.
Could you live there knowing she's a bad leader and just keep your mouth shut?
I think as long as it didn't interfere with me personally, yes, but if she would try to kind of risk the well-being of my family, whether that's by having bad decisions with the manpower or food or whatever, then I'll get out, I would not waste energy trying to go, because leaders are the reflection of the community, You get a bad leader out that the community is happy with,
so
you're just going to put somebody else in there.
So here's the question. What can you do now to make sure this kind of situation is either eliminated or weakened in the future in case there is a downgrade situation? G. Michael, what do you think? Any thoughts on what you can do now?
Not live in a community.
Well, yeah.
Here's the reality is that people that live prepared lifestyles or preppers or survivalists, we really are a minority. We're a subculture that exists. If you go to suburbia, it's just, I don't see how you would get someone that's in the HOA that actually really believes in the things that you would believe in. And I don't know if you could actually convince them to do things on a community-wide scale before, to be proactive. I don't even think it's possible.
I would like to test that theory, honestly. If it didn't mean me having to move into one, just maybe renting a house and faking it, just to test the theory, if you could go into a development and try and turn it so that it's self-sufficient without the people realizing it, that would be an interesting experiment.
But, it's about, again, what we were talking earlier today, everything's about mindset, really. I mean, what are you going to do? Are people going to really say, yeah, go ahead and take our beautiful lawns and turn them into gardens? I mean,
we
tried it in our neighborhood, and it's not going to happen.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen here in Indianapolis, I've seen HOAs that have gardens planted around the outside of them, which I was startled to the point I stopped and took pictures, because these are really nice homes. These are, $200,000-$300,000 homes, which is cheap compared to probably where you live. But they were starting to plant gardens around the outside of it, and all kinds of stuff, water catchment systems, but it would be. Go ahead.
I'm not saying, and by the way, there are self-sustainable communities, more suburbia communities that some developers have done. But overall, there are a very, very few.
And those are already set up. People already know what they're moving into.
Most people, they look at a garden and go, what's that? I want to get corn, they go to the grocery store.
Yeah, or where does the egg come from?
Exactly. The grocery store. Everything comes from the grocery store. You didn't know that?
Yeah. No, some of the kids in my son's class did not know that eggs came from chickens. So... But it would be an interesting experiment, because we have a development not too far from us.
It's not only your HOA people, but what about your church? If people end up bugging out with their church people, how many spiritual leaders are going to be like, okay, man, this is my time. I got to pull it together. It's happening. But they're completely unfit for that situation. That will probably be an even worse situation than the HOA thing, because I think the spiritual leader has more pull with people.
Without a doubt.
I'd say you're definitely in the wrong church. Definitely.
Why do you say that?
Because there are churches out there that I personally know of that understand what's going on, and it's the responsibility of the pastor to make sure that his flock is taken care of. Instead of gimme, they actually take their job seriously.
Well, I understand that, but that doesn't mean, for example, that a good spiritual leader is also going to know how to run a group of people when there's no infrastructure.
Yeah, but a pastor isn't supposed to do that. He's there to pastor the people. Usually there's some kind of formal leadership within the church that might not even involve the pastor.
Yeah, but people will look to the pastor as a natural leader for anything that happens. And then what you can end up having is the same issue you have with the HOA leader. He might have a different view on how to tackle things or take care of scenarios than you might. Then what happens?
That's why you play conflicted in church. Okay, I didn't really say that. There should be a question in every bulletin.
Heathen.
But yeah, I mean, that's why you have, get-togethers, when you meet, you eat kind of parties, and you sit around and you talk about this kind of stuff. And you put plans together. That's why we're here. We're just gonna why don't we just get it over with and we'll all move in together?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Only if you bring a helicopter.
Oh, I'll get us a helicopter.
All right, next question. Who's got a question?
I've got one.
Okie doke.
The loss of a loved one has spiraled Simone into deep depression where she is contemplating suicide. How would you help a loved one through depression in the midst of the apocalypse?
So somebody is seriously depressed, and do we know why without giving too much away?
One of their loved ones have died.
Just a loved one?
A child.
So they're so depressed. How would you get them out of it?
Alika?
That one would be kind of tough. I mean, depending on how close I was with the person, I think if I was that far into the apocalypse, I would be detached emotionally if it wasn't directly my family, and it is what it is. She wants to go, and I would just be thinking it's one less mouth to feed.
Okay, say it's a sibling.
Well, I mean,
for a family member. I'm not sure if you have siblings, but say it's a family member.
If it's a family member, I mean, obviously, I would try and save them and say, we'll take care of you. It's they're in a better place and all that other good stuff. But ultimately, it's their decision. But I would try my damnedest for them not to take their life if it was a family member.
Now, if it was, I want to give you one more twist for Lika. If it was a non-family member, you would allow them to do it. Would you actually, if they asked for a firearm to do it, would you give it to them? Would you assist in their suicide?
I mean, I wouldn't be the one pulling the trigger, but if they wanted to do it and needed a tool from me, and I, said, hey, look, this is not really the right way to go, and they told me to go, screw myself, like, all right, so how fast do you want to go? I would assist them in any way, but I would stop short from, pulling the trigger or kicking the chair from underneath them while they snap their own neck.
Okay, interesting. Lori?
There's a lot of variables there. I mean, they might be depressed, but they can still function, correct? And do they have other family members, other children, or is it the mom and one child?
Well, let's frame it that now she's by herself.
So it's a mom whose only child, and that's all she has left, has died.
Yeah, she's by herself. She has no family.
Everybody else is gone. Probably, what I would do is, just see how deep the depression is. Sometimes those things just need a little time to work through. Make sure she's taken care of and not harmed, and she's fed, and her hygiene is taken care of, and slowly work her into seeing where she's needed as a part of our society that we have. I'm not sure I would definitely at first just allow her to offer self. Especially, I don't know, how well do I know this person? If it's my sister, I'd fight blood and nail to make sure she stayed alive. If it's somebody I didn't know and they were totally not functioning at all and just eating supplies or whatnot, that's their decision then. Would I hand them a gun?
Or anything. Would you assist in their suicide?
If it was somebody I did not know, I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I might send them away, but I'm not going to hand them my firearm.
Okay. Katie? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't think I could allow them to use my firearm to kill themselves with. I might smack them around a little bit and do all that, but definitely I don't think I would allow them to kill themselves with anything I own. Okay. But JD? If it was me, what if it was you?
What's that?
What if it was you?
What do you mean, what if it was me? Oh, if it was me, you're asking me the question?
Yeah, no, well, what if it was you? What if you're requesting, you're so far into depression, and you've lost all of your family? Would you expect someone to help you out?
Well, I actually don't even know if I can answer that, because I would never see myself committing suicide.
Yeah, I don't think...
I have a very strong will to live. I don't ever see myself doing that. It's like completely out of the equation for me.
Even if you saw your entire family taken out?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I would go about the rest of my life seeking vengeance on whoever did it.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't end it. No, because I know my wife would not want me to do that, and my love is so deep for her that I couldn't do something that she wouldn't want me to do. So no, I wouldn't kill myself. Period.
Okay. JD?
Looks like he got dropped from the Skype call.
We interrupted him too many times. We lost JD. Oh, he's driving too. Did we get everybody then, besides JD?
You didn't get me.
Oh.
No.
I just hunkering down listening to all the good answers first. This is Geek. I would not help someone commit suicide in that situation. Screw that. I mean, it's one thing to kill someone in necessity or defense, but if you can't suck it up, then you're on your own. I mean, if I'm going to give him a gun, go attack bad guy camp and kill the leader so I can, live safer. But I'm not going to help them commit suicide, but I'm also not going to babysit them because I think at that point we've all seen enough death and destruction. We're kind of used to it. I mean, it would suck. And if it was a sibling, I've got 10 of them. I mean, some of them I like better than others, so I could lose a few here and there, and it would suck. But that's the nature of the end of the world, right?
Sorry, I was answering Salty Dog in the chat room. He's talking about covering himself with his naked body with peanut butter and walking into the woods singing the Smurf theme song.
If he lured the bears off so we could get to the honey, I'm all for it.
Man, I don't know. You got somebody that depressed, I'd have a hard time helping them. I would have a hard time helping anybody do that kind of thing. But, G. Michael brings up the point, too, because I know a lot of people are going to face that reality if we have a downgrade situation. And they're going to face the reality of probably losing all of their family members. That's going to be, you're going to have to wait until reality hits before you figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But although I've never been faced with that situation, I just know it's just not in my DNA to take myself out.
Yeah, I have too many spiritual convictions to be able to do that.
I didn't answer, but I wouldn't assist anybody either. If that's, I would try, a loved one, I would do whatever, even if it was a close friend, I would try as hard as I could to try to convince them that that's not the choice they should make. But eventually, if someone's so determined they're going to do it, they're going to do it anyway. But I wouldn't assist them. I wouldn't give them the rope. That's completely their choice. But I would just ask if they're going to do it, that they don't do it in a way that compromises the camp, the group. Don't don't set yourself on fire.
Don't make a mess.
Burn the camp down. Well, I don't know. I mean, don't go and do it in front of all the kids. Let's not find you. I mean, no, I would make sure I would have a big grown up conversation. Like, this is obviously where you're going to do.
Okay.
Then do it in a responsible way.
Here's a curveball. What if this person is bound and determined to take themselves out in front of everyone just to prove a point? And they want to make everybody just as miserable as they are. Then what would you do?
Oh, I would. Then obviously, I think a few of us would probably tackle them, tie them up, take them out, strip them down naked, cover them in peanut butter, and take them out into the woods.
It's good peanut butter.
Sounds like Friday night over here.
No, I would absolutely not allow that to happen.
Okay.
To the point that obviously then we would have to remove them. Obviously then take them out. If they're wanting to compromise, the emotional integrity of the group because they want to put on a grotesque display, then yeah, they need to be taken out into the woods.
Okay. Or transported far, far, far away.
Yeah. All
right. Anybody have anything else to add? I'm not even going to read some of the comments from the chat room in there. But the unique thing about G. Michael's books is they're actually told from the perspective of the daughter of the main character throughout the book, and her name is Haley. And one of the questions is, Haley was a young child when the complete collapse of modern society took place. Now in her 50s, she looks back and thinks of our time. How do you think future generations will describe the people living in our society today, and why? So your great-grandchildren, how would you think they would describe this society and what we're on the cusp of? Geek, what do you think? Would they hang their heads in shame?
I think at this point, if we're talking about right now, like this period, yeah, because we've taken all not we, but society's taken all the tools and natural skills we have and made us dependent on entitlements and handouts and not working or the easy way. Everybody gets a trophy. I mean, we've destroyed that sense of excellence and pride that makes people excel. So, I mean, yeah, they're going to be talking about, how we were just leeches of society, and that's why we're here. I mean, they're not going to see that it was orchestrated by, the powers that be in the banks.
Okay. Alika, what do you think? Your great-grandchildren, how would they describe us?
They would... I'm with Geek. They would probably look at us like, what the hell were we doing? Every day is something new and crazy, and I'm like, really? We've gone to this point in our lives. Our great-great-grandparents are rolling in their graves, just based off of the way the world is working, the way America is working. Like you said, people don't know where eggs come from anymore, and the self-reliance gene, so to speak, it's dying. It's going away. So hopefully it gives a new rebirth 20, 30 years down the line. But right now, I think my great-grandkids would be like, wow, what the hell were you doing during that time, Granddad?
G. Michael, what do you think?
Well, I think there's a couple of variables here. If we're looking at it from the book's perspective, and then there was a collapse, and then a great civil war that breaks out, and then people regroup into a more self-sustainable, kind of self-reliant republic, then yeah, they would look back on us and think that, we were essentially the Neros of Rome watching it burn as we played, the fiddle kind of a thing, and would be disappointed that we had been given such a wonderful place to live and such an incredible planet and just, screwed it up. If we don't have a complete collapse and we just keep going down the path we are for another 100 years, they'll... Do you think we
have another 100 years in us?
Yeah, I think we can change. I think there can be, we need an effective leader to come in and show us how things need to be. Yeah, we can, it doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be a total collapse. It doesn't have to be that way. We can choose for it not to.
How would we get that change to happen? Because I agree with you, quite honestly. I think that the more I talk to people, slowly, people are starting to wake up more and more. So I don't think there's always going to be a segment of the population that just doesn't get it. But I'm seeing more and more. I think laws need to change, like you said, G. Michael. We need to get leadership in place where we can be self-sustaining, because in a lot of places it's illegal. So, I completely agree with you. But
yeah, and the thing is, I think that can happen. I think there's unless there's a sudden event that occurs, and then all bets are off. But if it's more of this slow decline, which could happen over a period of time, over generations, where we slowly start to decline, and the standard of living starts to decline, things along that line, economically we slowly start to, it's like putting the lobster in the water on cold and then start turning it up. It's kind of what we are doing right now. Eventually things are going to become painful enough for people to want to affect change, where it's illegal to say have gardens in your community, where food will become so expensive, specifically good, clean food, that people will start to demand that they can have gardens in communities. You'll start to see change along that line. You'll start seeing change where people will want to be governed locally and have more control over how their tax dollars are spent. I mean, I think that things can happen if the pain is severe enough for people to finally to make it happen. But as Thomas Jefferson said, I mean that the people are willing to endure quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I think it can happen. It doesn't have to go into some kind of great war or a complete and utter collapse. But it could. I mean, it could. But I'd sometimes like to be. I'm an apocalyptic author that has. I'm a slight optimist. But yeah, I think it doesn't have to be. And I like to think that way because I have children. At the same time, I know there's some people in this and in our groups that long for a collapse. I always temper people's desire for that, because it's not a foregone conclusion you will survive.
I would agree with that 100%.
I think it's foolish to think that you would want it all to come, the house of cards to come down, because when it does, all hell's going to break loose.
Well, a lot of people think for some reason when the grid goes down that it's going to somehow by a miracle wipe out all the bad people. And all of the self-sustaining preppers are the only ones that are going to be left. And I've seen this. I've talked to people that think this way. And it's like, no, we're going to die just like everybody else out there.
We're clearly outnumbered.
Oh, yeah.
There's over 330 million people in this country.
And what?
How many are preppers?
30. I mean, we've got 21 in the chat room and us 5.
I'm just saying, I've heard that before in other conversations. I think that we should try to not see things go bad if we can prevent it. I mean, obviously we should always maintain our skill set, be ready for things, just in case shit hits the fan. But at the same time, we shouldn't desire that.
I would agree. And what you mentioned, keep up with our skill sets and stuff. How, as people that believe what we believe, should we look at raising our children differently than the people out there?
Absolutely. That's, I'm a proponent of homeschooling. I'm a proponent, but see, I think more of that's coming into vogue. I think you're going to start seeing, what's interesting now, if you look at it from a political aspect, you're starting to see people on the right and the left starting to have kind of more of a self-reliant belief system. They're starting to agree on things. They're starting to look at what's going on in the halls of government, and they don't like what they see on both sides. It's happening.
Concern that I would have, and it just hit the news today, is Indianapolis Public School System has a free lunch for every student for 2014-2015, which in essence is a good thing, because some of those kids, that's the only meal that they're going to get. But how is that going to play into the self-entitlement mentality that we're fighting against?
That's difficult. I mean, that's where, it's up to us as parents to make sure we raise our children right.
So we got a long, hard road ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're down to 5 minutes, so let's run through real fast where everybody's at. G. Michael, what do you have going on today? We have 5 minutes left in the date today.
What I have going on for the rest of the day?
Yeah, you got 5 minutes left.
I'm going to have a Templeton Rye whiskey and then relax in front of. No, I'm actually just today. Sanctuary Book 3, the New World Series came out. I'm tracking sales numbers right now. It's looking really, really strong. Things are good. Obviously, also at the same time, my partnership with Survival Logics in the Conflicted Game, the New World Series deck also came out today. I think JD's touched on it. There's an app coming out that'll have all 3 games available to get for your smartphones, tablets, and things along that line, which is exciting. And something else that happened today is my film agent said things are getting really, really close. Things are progressing.
Wow.
For instead of a TV option, more of a movie option.
Who's playing your main character? Who would you pick? Who would you pick if you could choose anyone? Who would play Gordon?
Sullivan Templeton.
Who the hell's that?
Google him. See, I like what HBO does. They always cast people that are kind of obscure or unknown, but yet talented actors. He's the guy that was in the latest 300 movie.
Okay, I've watched 300 before.
Yeah.
And not for the obvious reasons.
He would be Gordon if in a perfect world.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could have a choice, yeah.
Okay.
He would fit the bill.
I could see that, yeah.
Interesting. Look forward to seeing that because you guys in the chat room, you guys listening out there, excellent series of books. A lot of scenarios in there to think about. Morally, ethically, preparedness-wise, I mean, it's all collected inside of each book. Each book is a standalone by itself, but you add them all together. And by Christmas, you're going to have book 4 out, hopefully.
That's the goal. The Line of Departure is the name of it, and the goal is to have that available by Christmas time. You know, obviously, it's working with the editors at the publishing house and making sure it all comes together. But if I can have it happen, if they can have it happen, that would be very, very good for all of us to do that.
Do you have the names picked out for all the books, or just as you come upon them?
I have the name picked out for that one. Also, I do have the name for the book number 7 as well.
Which is? Can you share that?
Sure. It's going to be called The New Republic.
Okay. Interesting. I look forward to the rest of them. As soon as I get drugs and stuff to calm myself down, because they're quite emotional during parts and pieces of them.
And for those that don't know, Lori gets very wrapped up and emotional about them.
I do.
She got really wrapped up about Sanctuary, and I had to tell her it was very light reading in comparison to what book 4 is going to be.
Hence the reason I asked.